Your next goal is to write your introduction paragraph. So, the reason that we waited to write the introduction last is because you can't introduce something that you don't know about. So, we started with gathering our evidence after we wrote and revised our claims. So, we had all of our evidence from both literature and nonfiction. So, two body paragraphs backing up that claim. Then we wrote a conclusion that relates what you've been writing about from the text to a real world sort of situation or application, or how do we see that this is true outside of just your reading. Um, then we can go back now and say, now I know what I wrote about, and so I can introduce my reader to the full content of what I will talk about. So I'm going to start by rereading my claim. So, my claim is governments manipulate the lower classes who are traditionally less educated by spreading propaganda. This tactic increases government power and influence. And for all the other paragraphs, I've given you sentence frames and outlines. I've given you like transition lists and things like that. And now you have to kind of view this as a free write. It's going to be basically a summary of what is in all of the three ensuing paragraphs. And so I can't give you really an introduction frame. I can tell you that there are several ways to start an introduction paragraph. Traditionally, these are called hooks. I think those are kind of cheesy, but I'll list them out for you really quickly so that you can, if you want, try to do a hook to get started. I think starting to write an introduction is one of the hardest things about writing an essay. So let me list out some of the hooks and then I'll show you how I write mine. So, some of the ways you can get started for just to keep moving is to define a key term that you're going to write about in your claim, not just anyone, but it's got to be from your claim or your body paragraphs. You can provide a statistic or a fact, but if you do that, you need to cite it. So if you're citing a quote from a famous person that you first introduce and also explain, just like you did in your body paragraphs, then you have to tell me where it's from and why you used it. Or you can ask a question for your reader that is open-ended, not like a yes or no question. Like, have you ever wondered if propaganda is important? So that's a yes or no question. And the danger with that is it's a second person, so you're bringing your reader in, but you are giving them the option of saying no, and then they won't engage with the rest of your paper in a practical way. So if you start with a question, which seems to be one of the most popular ways for you guys to start your essays, you'll start with a question like, let me think for a second. So it could be a question something like, there's a cycle that controls all people in a country, and do you know of your place in it, or are you aware of how you are caught in a system, or something like that as a question. And so it's not just that is a yes or no question, but there's more content than like, have you ever wondered what propaganda is? You have to have like a question that's actually like engaging and bringing your reader in. I almost always start with a definition of a key term because that just helps me get going quickly, and I can say, here's a key term, and then here's all the things I think about it that I wrote about in my body paragraphs, and then I end with my claim. So I'm going to write my introduction, and then I'll talk about all my choices, and you guys can write your introduction. Okay, so I started my introduction with defining a key term. And I reread my claim again, like I'm always doing when I'm writing, and I just grabbed the word propaganda because that's throughout my entire essay. That's a main focus. So I defined propaganda in my own words, because I can Google the word propaganda too. So please use your own words if you're going to define a key term. Then what I did was say, how does government use propaganda? Why is propaganda effective? And all of these sentences after that key term is me summarizing what is in the body paragraphs. I do 3 sentences of these are big summary points from both of my body paragraphs. The next thing I do is summarize what is in my conclusion. So here's a key term. These are 3 or so summary sentences of what is in the body paragraphs. And here is 1 or 2 sentences summarizing what you'll see in the conclusion. Then I have my claim. So your introduction is usually what you think of as a conclusion, where you're like going back and touching on the key points. That's actually what the introduction does. Say, here are the key points. Now let me explain them out for you in the body paragraphs and conclusion and the rest of my essay. This is what I'm going to be talking about. And so that's how you write your introduction and why we wrote it after the rest of the content. So that you can just say, here are some key points and write this pretty quickly, hopefully, because you've done a lot of work thinking about all your evidence and the practical application in your conclusion. I hope this helps. Thanks. Bye.